Despite high-level leaks about top-secret aircraft testing here, with codenames like Aurora and Black Manta, the Pentagon continues to issue their standard denials, even to Congress.
Every time that there's a story about Aurora or the TR-3A Black Manta in the Popular Science or the New York Times or something else, Congress calls the Pentagon on the carpet and says, what's the deal? They want to know if these planes exist. And every time they've asked about those planes, they've been told there is no such thing.
The military has established a pattern of denial concerning these highly capricious wild aircraft beginning in the late 50s and continuing to this day.
The pattern of denial started with the U-2. In the 50s, sightings of strange, cigar-shaped craft were followed by leaks about a new spy plane, codenamed U-2. The military denied the existence of any such plane, until Francis Gary Powers was shot down over Russia in a U-2. The pattern continued in the 1960s with the SR-71 Blackbird, in the 70s and 80s with the stealth fighter and the stealth bomber, and now in the 90s it's happening again. There are new sightings of disc-shaped craft, new leaks suggesting the discovery of an anti-gravity device, and the same old denials.
There's a certain conceit, I think, among journalists that, well, if it's real, if it's true, we can get it, because Washington, the government, the Pentagon, they all leak like a sieve. Well, that may be the attitude in journalism, but if you ask military folks, they will tell you secrets can be kept. Secrets are kept.
Many believe the secrets are kept here, at this supposedly non-existent Nevada military base. Rumors suggest that anti-gravity technology being used here was actually recovered from an alien spacecraft.
I think there's a strong possibility that we have recovered some sort of alien technology and are trying to incorporate that into military programs.
In an attempt to penetrate the security net around Area 51, investigators Michael DiGregorio and Roger Johnson pedaled a backcountry route. Suddenly, a series of red-orange objects flared out across the sky.
They started at great height, seemed to descend, and then flared out. It was startling. Then a series of silver pewter flashes went directly across the horizon at terrific speed. One of these silver flashes went directly up into the air. The bottom one seemed nearly to hug the ground.
Did DiGregorio and Johnson witness the super-secret testing of a new kind of aircraft? In fact, someone did think they saw too much. As they returned to base camp, they were detained by a security patrol that seemed to be protecting more than just a stretch of arid landscape.
Boom. Headlights come on. There was an M16 pointed at us. And here we were faced with a life and death situation. But we also knew that we had crossed the line back into public domain, and therefore we were safe.
3 months later, in the same area, independent investigator Mark Farmer saw the same orange-red UFOs. He had a camera and captured these images on film. As an aviation expert, Farmer was stunned.
I saw the object exhibit entirely unconventional flight characteristics. At times it would wobble around in the sky and appear very unstable. At other times it would be in a rock-hard hover. It was an oblated sphere, multicolored, crimson on bottom, blue-green on top, much brighter than anything else in the sky.
Is this photographic evidence of the military's latest experimental aircraft? The answer isn't likely to come from the Pentagon.
Let me put it this way. I don't think the military has any credibility with the public in terms of its denials of this program or that program. They denied the U-2 existed. They denied the SR-71 existed. They denied working on stealth. All of those programs suddenly were unveiled.
The only information at this point comes from leaks within the government structure. Bob Lazar, an aerospace engineer formerly assigned to Area 51, claims the government possesses at least 9 disc-shaped alien craft currently warehoused in Nevada.
I was part of a back engineering group, and our job was basically to look at these recovered discs, and I say recovered because I don't know really where they came from, whether they were given to us, we found them, shot them down, who knows what. But our group basically was to back engineer them, which means to start with a finished product and go backward and see how it was fabricated, and try and duplicate some of that technology with earthly materials.
To me, Bob Lazar is credible. Over the past couple of years, I've spoken to literally dozens of people who have worked at that facility out there in Nevada. I think the technology at Area 51 originally came from somewhere else.
They were looking at something that, as far as Bob is concerned, didn't come from this planet, and they were trying to figure out how it worked.
John Andrews is also considered a reliable source for information about government projects. He has an amazing track record for revealing aircraft projects before their official unveiling. He's not a military officer, nor an aerospace engineer. He's a product designer for a toy company called Tester, and he can't keep a secret.
Secrecy is used oftentimes to hide the details of the funding and the size of the program. More often than not, it doesn't hide a real, true technological secret.
The Pentagon was not amused when Testo released a replica of the F-117A stealth fighter before it was officially known to the public. The recent release of their Project Aurora model is also making waves. Why is a toy company the public's best source for information about military projects?
They have sources throughout the military. They have sources in companies like Lockheed and Northrop, and they get bits and pieces of information from here and put it all together.
With such a remarkable track record, what's next on the Tester drawing board? John Andrews says it will be this, a UFO replica called the Sport Model.
In the case of the UFO model, we've made every effort to make it correct and to make it accurate. We've made every effort to find out the best information on the subject. We went to people who said that they have worked on the craft.
Could the Sport Model really be the next step forward in military aircraft design? Tester says yes, and the experts are listening.
The Tester Corporation has been very lucky in terms of building models that suddenly become real planes, but it's not luck. Now they're telling us that they believe that flying saucers at Area 51 are a real possibility.
This model may be the very, very first authentic plastic scale model kit of something that was designed and built and flown from another planetary system. I cannot say that that is absolutely certain, but there is that possibility.
Next, on Sightings, a woman's uncanny ability to communicate with animals produces astonishing results.
This is amazing. Well, she must be doing something.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Would your customers be interested in salon quality products at a fraction of the price?
I don't think so.
Introducing Salon Style. Not available at salons anywhere.
So I didn't notice my wife got her hair cut, so she said...
You never noticed anything.
I noticed the cheeseburgers at Burger King have 75% more beef than McDonald's. They come with fries and a drink for only $1.89. So she said, maybe you should go live there.
Burger King. Get your burger's worth.
If you had Corningware, you could make everything from roast pork to baked chicken, grilled vegetables, steamed shrimp and rice, ice cream parfait, even casseroles.
What's a casserole?
So whether you're cooking out or cooking in, cook it in Corningware.
Right now, you can get 50% off all lenses at LensCrafters. 50% off every lens we carry.
Looks good.
LensCrafters, 50% off all lenses event.
This is a great offer. People should definitely not miss this.
Hurry, LensCrafters offer ends soon.
Billy, it's not right to play the trumpet in the fishbowl. Billy, please don't play with the paint jar.
Sometimes you just need a Milky Way dark. Nothing smooths your way so deliciously from one part of life to the next.
Tommy, don't...
Nothing smooths your way like a Milky Way.
There is an unspoken language between people and their pets, especially if they've been together for a long time. The same intuitive sense that you may have with one pet, some people claim to have with all animals. These aren't just fanciful modern-day Dr. Doolittles. Professional pet interpreters like Samantha Curry
get astonishing results.
I'm usually the last hope. The average person comes to see me because they don't know where to turn. This is their last hope.
He's like a translator, is how I would describe it.
People seek out Samantha Curry when the special bond between pet and owner seems to be breaking down. She's part pet psychologist, part sounding board, and claims that her psychic connection with animals is so strong that she can often communicate with a pet even when the owner cannot. It was her work with the elephants at the San Diego Wild Animal Park that first brought Samantha's talents into the national spotlight.
Well, the elephant keeper thought that his animals, the 7 or 8 elephants that he had, were acting a little strangely. The elephant keeper's wife, who knew of Samantha Curry, had mentioned this to him, and I guess he figured, why not give it a try?
When I realized that I was in the presence of a very intelligent being, it was overwhelming for me.
Zookeepers were astonished that Samantha knew things about the elephants which were not public knowledge, including the recent death of one of the herd.
When it died, they took the body and they moved the body away. The elephants didn't even get a chance to touch that body or that form.
The elephants at the animal park had never participated in this type of mourning ritual, and Samantha told their zookeeper that this was the source of the problem. They wanted to grieve for their friend in their own way.
He just said, well, I kept the skull for some reason, I don't know why. Would that help if I put the skull in the compound? So he had done that, and then they let all of the elephants out the next day. And he said that he had heard 3 or 4 enormous cries, and then they worked all day to take and separate the tusk from the skull. And once that was done, it was as if something was listed throughout the whole herd.
It's theorized in the wild that elephants will go through kind of a grief period, and they'll even pick up bones of elephants that have died and carry them with them. Just a chance to kind of recognize that they're not here anymore, pay their respects, I guess is how we'd put it in human terms.
How did the elephants communicate with Samantha? She believes that animals transmit thought with pictures instead of words, and that she is sensitive to receiving those pictures.
It's almost like going back to being in kindergarten. You see the flashcards and the picture of the boat and then the word the boat. By the time you get into 1st or 2nd grade, that word represents the visual impression.
And Samantha uses the same kind of word pictures to talk back to her clients, like these thoroughbred show horses in Del Mar, California. These horses are working professionals, and their owners have a big stake in their success.
She turned around and started telling me things about the horse that only I, as the rider, would know about.
Toby's a jumper. Great horse. I first met Toby because he was having some problems with jumping.
He was doing very well in the warm-up ring, and he'd go in the show ring and like pull 4 rails, and it just felt to me that his concentration wasn't there.
Toby gave me visual impressions originally on how he was jumping, and that he didn't understand that this is really serious business. He was much more playful. As I talked about going over the jumps, that what he needed to do was just lift his legs up just a little bit higher, tuck them up close to his body, and then that his relationship with Mark was a business.
When Samantha was communicating with Toby and how he should be jumping over the fences, she would go ahead and grunt. Well, Toby now grunts over certain fences. He doesn't grunt over every single fence, but every time he goes over a fence really well, and he grunts, he's doing it in fairly good form. So I have to associate that with something that Samantha did. I think it would probably take me a whole year to what Samantha's been able to accomplish through the 2-month period of just communicating with him once.
Toby is just one of many success stories Samantha has had working with horses at this facility. But not everyone is convinced.
Well, I'm not really sure what to expect. I'm not very familiar with this stuff, but I guess I got to be open-minded.
It's only natural that many animal owners are skeptical before their first session. Diamond has recently become unruly, refusing to trot properly. After his owners went through the usual course of behavioral specialists, they decided to try something different.
This is amazing. Well, she must be doing something, because I've never seen him do this. I've never seen him gait naturally, like he's done here. I've never seen him do that. And that was one of his deficiencies, is he doesn't foxtrot like he's supposed to.
Although Samantha consults with many professional animals and their trainers, the bulk of her work is with family pets. After 30 years of practice, Samantha has successfully brought thousands of pets and their owners closer together. But for client Julie Ritter, better communication with her dogs brought some surprising revelations.
I was kind of wondering if something ever happened to the marriage. I wasn't expecting it. And I had to split up the 10 dogs. Who would go with who?
Julie brought her dogs to Samantha and asked her to interpret their preferences. One dog gave an answer that just didn't make sense at first.
So we come to Scruffy. I said, well, who would you go with? She said, I'd go with the little boy. I don't have any kids. So I said, what little boy? And she said, well, the little boy that lives next door. Well, where am I? And, well, you're at church. And she said, well, the lady and my husband go down the hall. And I thought, oh, my God, the only thing down the hall is bedrooms. And I went, oh, my gosh, you're having an affair while I'm at church. And I started to laugh. I mean, the whole thing was hysterical. I'm talking to this lady with her eyes closed and dogs running around. And the irony is we continued to work on the marriage, but ultimately it did die. And he married her, and the dog slept on the little boy's bed.
Samantha believes everyone has the ability to communicate with animals using word pictures. It takes time and practice, but the rewards can be great.
All the visual pictures are on in the brain, and then as you magnify and align your emotion with that visual, then the animal can understand you.
If this is the key that will unlock the mystery of human-animal communication, Samantha Curry says we will all benefit from a more humane world. Samantha Curry believes most people have the ability to receive visual messages that have been psychically transmitted by their pets. She suggests that the 3 essential elements to improving human-animal communication are concentration, patience, and love.
When Sightings returns, mysterious formations in ice are baffling scientists.
This is quite possible a winter equivalent of crop circles.
Jurassic Park. Wait till you see Itchy and Scratchy Land.
It's the 12 noon parade. Hurry up, or we'll have to wait for the 12:05 parade.
Welcome to the wildest place on Earth.
I think you're wrong about that robot trying to be a friend.
Don't predict.
On an all-new Simpsons. Then, never-before-seen footage of heated negotiations between baseball owners and players.
What contract?
Hardball.
Sunday at 8 on Fox, Channel 6.
Don't tell him I said so. But my brother is totally cool. Totally cool. He can take a Yoo-hoo chocolate drink and do this with the cap. I'm working on it. Sorry, Dad. But house rules. You don't have to sink one to drink one.
Yoo-hoo, the cool way to do chocolate and baseball cards. Look for details in your favorite store.
It's happening now. The gigantic in-store Expo 95 show and sale at all Shelves and Cabinets showroom. Just arrived the hottest, newest computer and office furniture, home theater, Mitsubishi and RCA big screen TVs, a huge selection in every department, and do not pay till 1996, not 95, 1996. Nothing down, no interest, and no payment. Not this year, not next year. Do not pay until 1996. Hurry, this incredible offer is for a limited time only. Now at all Shelves and Cabinets showrooms.
Hey, Vern, I got one word for you, Vernon. One word. Car Country Carlsbad. Golly, Bob. Howdy, Vern. Them boys are having the best sale ever with custom tailored leases, money-saving discounts, and each one of your Car Country Carlsbad dealers is cutting prices right to the bone. Do I look like I have stupid written all over my face? Burn, my hand, burn.
Car Country
My holy
Carlsbad.
hand.
Cannon or Palomar Airport Road off the 5 freeway.
Crop circles are part of a larger paranormal phenomenon called UGMs, unusual ground markings. A recent study found that 53% of all UGMs are made in wheat. But there are also enigmatic markings in oats, corn, and ice. Ice circles are extremely rare, so sightings in the northeastern U.S. are drawing a lot of attention. Perfect circles of ice, created by a cosmic compass. Swirling patterns that seem to demand a supernatural explanation. Ice circles mimic the geometric patterns of crop circles, with one important difference. The patterns are appearing in ice that is too thin to support a person, virtually eliminating the possibility of human intervention. The national coordinator of the Center for Crop Circle Studies is applying the same equipment and techniques used to document crop circles to the newly discovered ice circles. Her preliminary findings are very promising.
A lot of this ice in which the circles are supposed to be happening is very thin, too thin to walk out on and to measure. And yet how is somebody going to go out there and put these at least dozens and perhaps hundreds of swirls, and they're not even really cut. These weren't actually cut and beautifully, separated rings. These were just swirls within the ice.
Enigmatic patterns are also appearing in snow. The absence of footprints to and from the site casts an eerie pall over the markings. If this is not a natural phenomenon, who possesses the ability to hover over a snowy site and create mysterious messages? Mainstream scientists dismiss this theory of extraterrestrial intervention, but they can't agree on an earthly answer either. Some hydrologists think water currents are responsible, but circles have formed where there was no perceptible current. Meteorologists who have looked into the phenomenon blame weather, but don't know why or what kind. For geologists, it's an Earth mystery with no explanation. One scientist who does have a possible explanation is John Burke. He has studied crop circles for the last 10 years and feels his theories about grain markings may apply to ice and snow markings as well. Burke believes an atmospheric anomaly called plasma is the key to the circle mysteries.
We believe that plasma forces are involved in creating crop circles because plasma is nothing more than electrified air particles. But you excite the temperature of that plasma a little higher and it will begin to glow. If you have it heated enough to glow, then it makes sense that it might be heated enough to melt snow and leave a record in the snow. Because certainly it would be nice to have a winter tapestry to record these events on, because there's no reason to believe they're seasonal. They quite likely occur year-round. Here we've got some snow circles on a frozen lake that, if you look closely at the structure of them, is not unlike what you see in a lot of crop circles. In this case, you could imagine that as a ring with standing crop in the center, and that's quite a common formation. Now, the same plasma mechanisms that form crop circles could be expected to be making these kinds of marks in snow if the plasma was heated sufficiently to melt the snow. So this is quite possible, a winter equivalent of crop circles.
Paranormal investigators believe natural phenomena can't adequately explain the seemingly intelligent ice, snow, and crop designs. Given the random power of natural events like tornadoes and hurricanes, the orderly circles and intersecting lines here seem to demand a more supernatural explanation.
Next on Sightings, a psychic detective is haunted by visions of murder.
I'm not me anymore, I'm them. And sometimes I hurt very much when I'm being killed.
And later, alien abductees are given warnings of a cosmic apocalypse.
Pardon me.
Ciao.
What would you say if your customers could get salon quality products at a fraction of the price?
Non mi interessa per niente. Vattene, vattene.
Introducing Salon Style. Salon quality, sensible prices at stores everywhere.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's very important to remember, especially at a time like this, when it's very deserted and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
You've got your ranch dressing and your Italian. Ranch, Italian. Hey, looking for a solution to that rut you're in? Then try Kraft Catalina dressing. It's spicy and sweet. A tasty creation that's anything but ordinary. So even if you're a rancher or an Italian, you'll love the change to the spicy sweet taste of Catalina.
Harry, don't touch the curls.
Don't touch the bangs. Harry, just a little off the top.
Sometimes you just need a Milky Way. Nothing smooths your way so deliciously from one part of life to the next.
Harry, just a little off the top.
Nothing smooths your way like a Milky Way.
Cold sufferers, if your pill's so good, how come it doesn't work 24 hours? Effidac 24 does. Other pills last 6 hours or 12, but one Effidac relieves 24 hours. Effidac keeps cold symptoms from coming back.
The serpent and the rainbow. The people under the stairs. Last house on the left. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Wes Craven, the master of horror, returns at last with a frightening new twist on terror. Wes Craven's New Nightmare, rated R. Starts Friday, October 14th.
In case after case, police officers have reportedly solved puzzling crimes by operating on hunches and intuition. It's called blue sense. But when hunches and intuition don't pan out, more and more law enforcement agencies are turning to psychic detectives as a last resort. Noreen Renair sees things no one should ever have to see. She feels things no one should ever have to feel. Noreen Renair is a psychic detective who believes she has the ability to put herself into the role of killer, accomplice, or victim.
It was like stepping on the moon once I entered into this. And it was just I could touch a ring or watch, and I could see pictures in my head.
Noreen became aware of her psychic gift by accident. At the age of 30, Noreen was working in public relations when she was asked to represent a female psychic. Reluctant at first, Noreen became fascinated with her new client.
She just sort of did something on me and told me about some body scars and some things about me that there was just no way somebody could have told her. So then my mind started thinking, well, if she can do this, how can she do this?
Noreen spent several years developing her psychic ability before she began offering her unique services to law enforcement. Over the past 15 years, she claims to have had many successes, including one unsolved case in which her psychic vision led to the arrest and conviction of 3 murderers. The double murder occurred on May 15th, 1986, in this quiet neighborhood just outside of Albany, New York. One moment, Jake and Dora Cohn were settling in for the night. The next moment, they were dead.
They were 72 years old, retired couple, living in a middle-class, maybe blue-collar neighborhood. And one night they were shot dead in the head.
We had no physical evidence whatsoever, no weapon. We had 2 bullets laying at the scene, empty shell casings, and that was it.
After 4 years of investigation, the police were no closer to solving the brutal murders of Dora and Jake Cohn. They'd exhausted every lead, and more recent crimes forced the unsolved Cohn case onto the back burner. But the Cohns' 2 children weren't ready to give up. They sought a different kind of help.
The family came to us and recommended that we use a psychic in this case.
The family wanted Noreen Renair. They'd read about her impressive track record and hoped Noreen's psychic ability would help crack their case.
I don't really need to meet everybody. I just need to touch something that was on the victim. I touched something off the body. Sometimes it was worn with them when they were killed. I touch it and I can become them.
The technique is called psychometry. By handling personal items found on the victims, Noreen believes she can psychically step into the crime scene and see what actually took place.
They sent me some, a bloody shoe and a bloody pair of glasses. One was from Dora and one was from Jake. And then they called me and I tuned in and described what both people looked like alive.
Yeah, the hair went up on my arms, and I'm thinking, how in the world does she ever know this? For example, one of her opening statements was that the victim, Dora, was on a phone with a female at the time she was killed. Now, how she ever knows that, I have no idea.
Detectives traveled to Noreen's Florida home for a more in-depth session. They watched in amazement as Noreen entered a trance state and seemed to become Dora Cohn right before she was murdered.
I felt like I was sitting down, and I felt like there was a phone in my hand, and I was talking to somebody I liked, and I felt it was a female. All of a sudden, I remember hearing some noise behind me.
It came to a point, I had pulled Noreen's phone tolls through a court subpoena to make sure she didn't call Albany, New York to find that information. I mean, there was a tremendous amount of information that she was totally 100% accurate. She had mentioned that a member of the family had brought the killer to the house on numerous occasions, and that the killer had eaten dinner there.
In her trance, Noreen felt a connection between Dora's grandson and the killer.
And I was very surprised and shocked that this person was here. He shot me, and I don't know if I get up when he shoots me again, but I know I'm on the floor, and my back seems to be hurting me a great deal. And I'm on the floor, and I die.
Noreen's revelation about the grandson's involvement shocked Lieutenant Krolak. He'd harbored similar suspicions since he first began investigating the case. After 20 years on the force, Lieutenant Krolak feels he's developed his own brand of psychic ability. He calls it intuition. But a cop's intuition isn't always enough. That's where Noreen comes in.
People think that I can do this forever and ever. I work very few police cases because it exhausts me so terribly that whatever day I worked, and the next day I'll be drained.
Long days of reliving brutal crimes, tracking missing children, finding bodies. Sometimes, Noreen says, the horrific visual images stay with her for days. That was certainly the case with Noreen's work on the Cohn murders. Even though she never visited the crime scene, Noreen was haunted by one particular face. Her psychic visions were overwhelming.
We brought down 10 photographs. She looked through the 10 photographs, put a few aside, went back and looked at them again, and then picked up the 3 that she put aside. Put one aside and said, this is the shooter, this is the killer. Took another one, put it aside, said that she believes this is an associate. Picks the 3rd one, who turns out to be the grandson, and said he was part of this. She was accurate on all 3.
In a sad twist of fate, Noreen had pointed to the son of the woman who had originally hired Noreen to work on the case.
I know that she put us in a direction that we've overlooked. The alibi, the grandson looking into him deeper, certain other bits and pieces that she gave us that opened our eyes to something else.
Lieutenant Krolak admits that without Noreen's help, the Cohn case may never have been solved.
It's not my work, it's my life. Anything they want me to do, I'll try. I feel like I'm just sort of a tool. They use other tools. I'm just one of the tools they use to get more information to find the bad guys.
The shooters, Keith Snare and Robert Charles Skinner, were both sentenced to 60 years in prison without the possibility of parole. James Mariani, who was the Cohn's grandson, was sentenced to 40 years in prison without the possibility of parole. Noreen Rainier continues to work as a psychic detective.
Next on Sightings, alien abductees receive a terrifying message from their captors.
We are apparently a malignancy at a cosmic level now.
Car or truck for 3 short days this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only. Del Mar's the place to be. It's Used Car Super Sale number 7 back at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. Over 1,569 used cars and trucks will be on sale. Every make and model, all in one place, all at one time. Enter to win prizes including Rolling Stones concert tickets from 101 KGB FM. For 3 days only this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Free admission and free parking. Used Car Super Sale number 7 at the Del Mar Fairgrounds.
Ice cream and cake creations, new from Baskin Robbins.
This Wednesday at Del Mar Satellite Wagering,
Oak Tree at Santa Anita opens its fall festival of thoroughbred racing, and you can see, hear, and bet on all the races live via simulcast. Join us on opening day this Wednesday and receive free our 8th edition Collector's Stein, celebrating Oak Tree's 25th anniversary racing season and featuring great champions of the past 25 years. Here's to your free Stein on Oak Tree's opening day this Wednesday at Del Mar Satellite Wagering.
Hey, we're on the grow. It's the one and only Furniture Row's gigantic 3-day celebration. We're celebrating the grand opening of our newest store in the center. Casual dining and bar stools. Up to 50% off everything in every store. Leather furniture, sofa sleepers, bedrooms, office and computer furniture. RCA and Mitsubishi big screen TVs. No interest and no payments for 1 full year. This week, only at Furniture Row, 1 mile west of I-15 on Miramar Road.
Ah, camping. The simple pleasures, like a hot cup of Java. That's Indian for coffee. You know, the key to good coffee is the water used to make it. Some say a mountain stream is the purest water you can find. I like to call it nature's drinking fountain.
Unlike some waters, Sparkletts water is filtered 5 times for purity, making it absolutely pristine. Sparkletts, the source of pure water.
Perhaps the most controversial subject we investigate on Sightings is alien abduction. More and more seemingly credible people are coming forward, claiming that they've been abducted, probed, and manipulated by aliens. And now there's a new pattern developing. Supposed abductees are returning from their experiences with a cautionary message for us all. There's a new, frightening chapter in the abduction story. Many abductees are claiming that their alien captors send them home with apocalyptic predictions about life on Earth. It's a terrifying conclusion to an already horrible ordeal.
I'm on my back on the bed, and she's at the foot of my bed, and she's doing something to me.
He had this flashback of being on this table, being surrounded by these beings.
I don't know what she was doing. She had some sort of an instrument in her hand.
Little gray guys with big dark eyes, and one of them's putting a needle in my neck.
Until recently, the story would end there. But now abductees are returning with more than horror stories. They feel they are intergalactic messengers who must deliver dire predictions. This new mission intrigues Harvard professor John Mack. This Pulitzer Prize-winning psychiatrist at Cambridge Hospital is now treating people he calls experiencers. In his new book, Abduction, Mack presents 13 case histories.
I thought this is crazy. I mean, I thought this is not possible. I'd seen many, many cases and worked for 2 years before I said, look, there's a mystery here. I can't explain this. There's something like what they're saying seems to be happening to them. You actually have seen them in your room in bright sun daylight. What did you see?
Currently working with over 100 patients, Dr. Mack's clinical approach gives abductees a chance to talk openly about their experiences.
I would have experiences that were so real, that were so lucid, they were every bit as real as me talking to you now, and yet I would dismiss them because they were so out of context.
Joe is a successful businessman from Massachusetts who's had abduction memories since early childhood. He kept these experiences to himself until hearing about Dr. Mack's study. His abduction history is outlined in Mack's book. It's a detailed chronicle of otherworldly control and painful medical experimentation.
They put something up my nose, and it was very disarming. And yet, there's that sense of almost a split self, because there's a part of me that's terrified and doesn't understand, and yet there's this other part of me that they've already explained the procedure to and why.
Over time, Joe's abduction experiences have changed. In an extraterrestrial version of the Stockholm Syndrome, he has less fear and has begun identifying with his captors.
Once they begin to come to terms with their terror of the trauma, the experience tends to transform. They feel they're somehow connected with these beings, and they experience the beings themselves as closer to the source, which is a term they use very often, or home.
It was the most profound experience of my life.
But that kind of profound transformation does not happen in every case.
The first being that I ever saw consciously in my entire life was sitting right here.
Diane, a software test engineer, is also a patient of Dr. Max. She's documenting her encounters with these watercolor pictures.
This picture was in the fall of '92. It took place here in the house, and I woke up, started to pivot around, found I couldn't move, and something released, and I said I could move. I scanned the room, just about to give up, and I see a small gray female being sitting there just waiting for me to spot her. And then she, I don't know whether she flew or what, but she sure came across the bed fast, right up to my face, and steered right like this.
Although the experiences don't fit our notions of reality, there's no reason to believe that they're not telling the truth, or that something occurred to them that is real and they're telling it truthfully.
To corroborate these personal beliefs, Dr. Max searches for parallels among abduction stories. The most common thread, and ironically the most extraordinary, involves reproductive experiments.
Sperm samples taken from the men by a cup put over the penis, some kind of vibratory energy that causes an ejaculation. Eggs taken from the women. Something is done between the egg and the sperm, which may be reimplanted in the woman in a subsequent abduction. Then that will be taken, the fetus will be taken from them at a later time. That's their experience.
I flew out the window like a sucking, vacuumed out feeling with all the air pushed out of me. I ended up on a craft, laying down on a table. And next thing I know, I see a child. One of those ugly little gray things is holding a child up. And I said, no, that didn't come out of me. At the end of that experience, I blacked out and came to standing on this platform. And I was not home anymore. I was somewhere else. I don't know where this was. I felt like I was on a ship.
The emotion is so appropriate to a real experience. Dreams don't operate like that. Fantasy isn't like that. Trauma displaced from some of the sources isn't like that. It isn't just a traumatic story. It's a complicated, consistent narrative that operates clinically altogether like a real experience.
The complicated, consistent narrative Dr. Max patients describe always has a beginning, middle, and most recently, the same exact ending. Before they are returned home, the abductees are warned about an impending apocalypse, unless all people on Earth drastically change their way of thinking.
We are told that the human experience, the human race, as we have known it, is becoming, or soon to be, non-viable, not extinct. It can't survive. My own sense of it, and this is like purely speculative, is that we are also being given a choice to change our ways. In other words, we were here to shepherd or steward the earth, or be responsible for a higher consciousness, and what we've become so far from the Creator, so distant from the source, that we have treated the earth like it was our property, and we are apparently a malignancy at a cosmic level now.
The message is, wake up, grow up. The sandbox that you're littering is not your own. That you are not alone. That you don't need to feel the sense of isolation and separation that you have felt. That you're part of a bigger community.
According to a recent Roper poll, 1 in 50 American adults exhibits at least 4 out of the 5 most common symptoms reported by alien abductees. That's a staggering statistic, because it seems to indicate that 2% of our adult population is experiencing something for which no one has a conclusive explanation.
Next, is NASA hiding a startling discovery?
NASA knows more about anomalous structures on Mars, possible extraterrestrials, that they're not telling us about.
Hey, mister, your hardware's looking real good. These power belts are cool. Copper cables and silverware. Ooh, I'm strapping on these tools, 'cause you'll be the first place I'll always try, 'cause hardware now has a softer side. Come see the softer side of fear.
In past commercials, we've shown you how the Nissan Altima is smooth enough to pass the infamous Lexus glass test. We've shown you how quiet its cabin is, how it's built precisely enough to pass the ball bearing test, and how the Altima can outhandle an Acura Legend LS. What else is there? Except to once again show you our logo, and this remarkable offer of just $750 down and $239 a month.
So I didn't notice my wife got her hair cut, so she said...
You never noticed anything.
I noticed that cheeseburgers at Burger King have 75% more beef than McDonald's. They come with fries and a drink for only $1.89. So she said, maybe you should go live there.
Burger King. Get your burger's worth.
I know if you really care about somebody, nothing else should matter. But it does.
Sometimes getting close to him is all I think about.
I expect her to sweat it. She's running a marathon, but not when we're close to each other.
Well, you just can't get close to a guy if he smells.
Get a little closer with Arid XX, the anti-odor antiperspirant. Arid XX helps keep you extra, extra dry.
I trust Arid.
In the past, to gain weight, you had to eat food loaded with fat and cholesterol. Now there's GNC's Pro Performance 1850 Weight Gainer, scientifically designed with 1,850 fat-free calories per serving. Pro Performance 1850, only at General Nutrition Centers.
In 1976, the Viking mission to Mars sent back the first high-resolution photographs ever taken of the Martian surface. And since then, 2 additional missions have attempted to get even closer, but both have failed. In 1990, a Russian Mars probe named Phobos disappeared. And in 1993, a U.S. probe, the Mars Observer, met a similar fate.
The unmanned Mars Observer carried some of the most sophisticated equipment ever sent into space. The Observer's mission was to conduct a comprehensive photographic survey of Earth's nearest planetary neighbor, Mars. But while on approach to the Martian surface, the Observer failed. Curiously, one area the probe was supposed to be photographing at the time was a controversial region called Cydonia. Pictures taken in 1976 seem to show artificial structures in this area. Just when the Observer seemed to be moving in for a closer look, NASA said, technical malfunction, no more pictures.
It's quite possible that NASA knows more about anomalous structures on Mars, possible extraterrestrials, even structures on our moon that they're not telling us about.
There is sufficient evidence to indicate that some of the objects on Mars may possibly be artificial.
NASA's position is that nothing has been constructed on the surface of Mars. The face and pyramids that appear in the 1976 pictures are just tricks of light and shadow. But these computer-enhanced 3D images seem to disprove NASA's claims. They show that the face on Mars is clearly visible, no matter where it is in relation to the sun.
I was quite interested with the first photos and release of the face on Mars. But particularly I thought it was interesting the pyramidal structures. That some of these pyramids appear to have even a central stairway running up and down them. The more we look at these structures, the more we can see that there's something amazing here.
Some researchers believe that NASA is withholding important photos and data taken in the Cydonia region. They suggest NASA created the Observer malfunction story to hide what could be the greatest archaeological discovery of all time.
If some people want to go far beyond the edge of what's accepted in terms of imagery, see patterns on the rocks of Mars or on the moon or in the rings of Saturn, my view to that is mazel tov. Go ahead, do it. Try it out. Make your proposals.
Stan McDaniel is a retired professor who has conducted an in-depth study of the Mars structures. He is intrigued by the seemingly deliberate placement of the face in relation to the pyramids.
These objects, if you measure carefully from the tops of the 5 that surround this city square point, you find an almost perfectly symmetrical pentagon.
If NASA does have new information about these reportedly artificial structures on Mars, why are they hiding it from the public? An advisory report from the Brookings Institution, a Washington, D.C.-based think tank, may hold the answer.
There is a section on what might occur if evidence of extraterrestrial existence was found on other planets. They said that NASA or the government might want to consider keeping the information from the public. The reason being that it could cause widespread social unrest and possible deterioration of government control.
The official NASA position is that there is no cover-up. They insist Mars observers suffered a catastrophic electrical failure, rendering it inoperable.
It did not lose transmission. They turned it off. And they turned it off after the instructions for going into orbit had been uploaded to the spacecraft. It was possible then that the spacecraft would go ahead, follow out those instructions, and go into orbit.
Before we start saying how these rocket scientists messed up, and they did mess up, we have to keep realizing just how tough these projects are. That we're doing things out there in space every time we do it that no one even thought was possible a few years or decades ago. These are really incredibly tough missions to accomplish.
The debate may end in 1996, when NASA plans on launching a new Mars probe. This may be the second chance ufologists are hoping will prove the existence of an ancient civilization on Mars.
In addition to the formations on Mars, one research group is studying what appear to be strange structures on the surface of the moon. This photograph of the lunar surface shows two geometric shapes. The circle could be a crater, but the triangle seems unlike any other naturally occurring formations that we know on the moon.
Are you ready to laugh? I said, are you ready to laugh?
Coach, weeknights after The Simpsons on Fox Channel 6.
About time you got your own show.
Hey, thanks, Luke.
Can I be on it?
Nope.
Okay, congratulations anyway.
But you could win a walk-on role in the hit comedy Coach, plus a trip to your own homecoming. Register to win at any one of the El Portel stores located in these San Diego County malls. Looking for a used car or truck? It's Used Car Super Sale number 7 back at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. Every make and model, all in one place, all at one time. But only till Sunday, with free admission and free parking. Used Car Super Sale number 7 at the Del Mar Fairgrounds.
Where in San Diego do players win millions monthly?
Welcome to Viejas.
The hottest bands play every Friday and Saturday at Viejas.
It's happening now. The gigantic in-store Expo 95 show and sale at all shelves and cabinets showrooms. Just arrived the hottest, newest computer and office furniture, home theater, Mitsubishi and RCA big screen TVs, a huge selection in every department, and do not pay till 1996, not 95, 1996. Nothing down, no interest and no payment. Not this year, not next year. Do not pay until 1996. Hurry, this incredible offer is for a limited time only. Now at all shelves and cabinets showrooms.
Hey, Vern, I got one word for you, Vernon. One word. Car Country Carlsbad. Golly, Bob. Howdy, Vern. Them boys are having the best sale ever with custom tailored leases, money-saving discounts, and each one of your Car Country Carlsbad dealers is cutting prices right to the bone. Do I look like I have stupid written all over my face? Vern, my hand, Vern.
Car Country Carlsbad, Cannon or Palomar Airport Road off the 5 freeway.
Deal yourself a winning hand with the new electronic Caesar's Palace Poker and Blackjack games from Tiger Electronics. You just can't lose.
Instalight by Armatron with easy-to-see night vision dial. Superb water-resistant quality and outstanding value. Armatron, the best price quality watch in America.
If you'd like to save up to 50% on your contact lenses, eyeglasses, and eye exams, call for a free Lens Express catalog and find out how you can start saving right away.
If you've had a paranormal experience, call the Sightings hotline at 1-900-933-SIGHT. That's 1-900-933-7444. Each call 65 cents a minute. Average call lasts 3 minutes. Sightings is also online. Our email address is sightings@aol.com. On the next edition of Sightings, scientists close in on Bigfoot.
It's a very tough task to find one of these things. I think we're the people who are going to find one.
A paralyzed boy prays for death.
There's definitely I was possessed.
And is saved by the light.
I came back and I was a different man.
Then, alien abduction. Could you be next?
I know something has happened to me, but I was in extreme denial.
Until next time, remember, No mystery is closed to an open mind. For Sightings, I'm Tim White.